Mark Patterson Show. Your news, your views. Get in touch on social media. Ring 71266 522.
Well, what a remarkable woman. What a remarkable family. Tuesday, Techie Day. Emma is sick. We have a professor sitting in instead, Professor Kevin Curran. Kevin, you're telling us that the Bitcoin energy use in Iceland now set to overtake homes. Iceland is facing an exponential rise in Bitcoin mining and gobbling up power resources. What's that all about for non-techie people like myself?
It does. So Iceland has been favoured by data centres for many years now, where people would set up, the Googles of this world and the farms of computers that we all log on to, because the energy there, while Iceland doesn't get as cold as many people imagine, it's cold enough that basically your computers don't need the extra heating to draw the heat away. It's kind of it's like a natural fridge, which is perfect for data centres, holes in the walls. And they also have, Iceland also has access to geothermal and hydroelectric, which really means the power bills are quite low. So one of the big trends in computing in the last year really has been Bitcoin, the rise of this, what we call cryptocurrency. And it's a currency which has been used, and each individual Bitcoin reached a peak of 22,000 quid in December.
Could you tell us, just again, for non-techie people like myself, mining Bitcoin, what is mining
so
Bitcoin?
All the computers which take part in this, and they could be anywhere in the world, they all have to they're all trying every 10 minutes to solve a mathematical puzzle and get a certain number of zeros at the start. And you can't cheat that puzzle. But of course, an ordinary computer right now, if you try to take part in this, which you could, the stars will fall from the sky before your computer will ever come up with the answer. So therefore, the hardware they have trying to solve these puzzles is very, very extreme. Really fast machines, usually in rows and rows, like data centers themselves, because they're looking to the future where Bitcoin is worth anything up to up to £1 million, whatever. They're speculating on the future because the electricity they're expending and trying to generate these Bitcoins is less than they're worth at the moment. So these guys are trying to project into the future. So there's this huge market worldwide for people trying to generate Bitcoin. And of course, Iceland, because they've been doing data centers for a number of years, there are now a lot of Bitcoin miners are trying to get into Iceland to use the low power usage really, or payments for electricity.
You just sort of cut across, you described Bitcoin earlier as a cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
I read a lot about Bitcoin. I see headlines everywhere. It's on the news. It's on social media. It's everywhere. What actually is it?
It's the fact that it's not like, even the moment, the closest you might come up with is something
Is it a
like
number, for example?
Well, it's a coin. It's a token that you have in your computer, but there is no physical representation of it, cryptocurrency. People might be familiar with paying something called PayPal on eBay or Amazon or wherever, or just using their credit cards. But cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, it's generated by people solving a puzzle, or you can go online to an exchange and buy Bitcoin, and you store it in a computer wallet, really. And the password, you use a password really, and that's the key to it. But if you lose the password, your Bitcoin's gone forever. If someone can discover your password, your Bitcoin is gone forever. There is no central authority, and that's why people love this, that there is no Bitcoin company, that everyone who partakes in it, that there is no central organization. It's distributed. It also it's really a ledger of transactions, so that we have a record of every Bitcoin generated, every payment made. We can see where it came from. Now, that doesn't mean you can tell it's Kevin Curran. You just see a number, but it's got this anonymity with it now. It's not true anonymity where but it's got enough that all the criminals of the world are putting hundreds of millions of quid into it, because it's a great way for them to be able to get rid of money, in such a way that it can't be traced back to them.
Yeah. I was reading recently, I think Bitcoin was up to £19,000 or something.
It was 22,000 in December.
Who's buying it?
Oh, well.
And for what reason? It seems to me like again, I don't really know, but it seems like a self-fulfilling financial prophecy. It's just a circular thing. Nothing comes from it,
underneath what we call Bitcoin is this thing called blockchain, which is this distributed ledger of transactions, so that you can see who wrote to it. You can't spoof it. If I send money to you, it gets written into the blockchain underneath Bitcoin, and I can't send money to someone else at the same time. And that's why Bitcoin is a wonderful currency for the internet. Now, we will have these currencies. The only thing is that Bitcoin was the first to gain traction. it's brought around things which are scary, like ransomware and people being held to ransom if their computer files aren't, and companies being brought to their knees by what we call denial of service attacks. So there's also why you should never ask also anyone on air, have they got Bitcoin? Because they're under risk of being under a kidnap. People are being kidnapped.
That was my next question.
No, you can't. And it's not that I'm not open about things, but you can't ask me because then I'm a kidnap threat. Because it's untraceable. If they come in and force me to transfer the money, they can't be traced. It's like cash.
So you could be a Bitcoin billionaire,
well,
and we shouldn't talk about it.
Exactly.
Okay,
No, because there is that risk. So again, but the thing is, at the moment you can't say that the valuation reflects, because you can't put a value on it. It's worth what it's worth, and most of the value of it has been speculation. However, I've been saying for years, my students will verify that because a Bitcoin will, back when it was $10, I was saying it will be worth X amount. So, but the only thing is.
Well, was it just people like yourself who are very technically savvy who spotted this gap in the market, or this burgeoning market?
Yeah, it always starts with the geeks, especially something like this, which is wonderfully designed. It's like a God protocol. There is so much to it. Again, we don't actually know who invented it.
I was just going to say, where did it come from?
Well, we know, Nakamoto was the guy who wrote the white paper on it, but it's an incredible piece of technology that we don't know the real name of the person, who themselves is a billionaire, multi-billionaire.
Could it be Gates or Zuckerberg, or one of those people who are just flying under the radar with it?
No, it's no one who's a household name. It's not as if there wasn't precedence before it, but when Bitcoin came along with the blockchain itself, it was wonderfully designed. And of course, geeks were the initial ones, and of course, finance people who understood the implications of it as well, that it was untraceable, it didn't have a centralization. But again, really, the value at the moment is speculation. And if you ask anyone, I can't tell you whether the Bitcoin today is worth about £6,000. I cannot tell you if a Bitcoin next week will be worth £100 or 22,000 or 50,000, because again, it's to do with the amount of people jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah, well, if someone like yourself doesn't know, Kevin, the rest of us have got no chance. Moving on to a couple of other things we want to talk about today. This has certainly caught my eye. Facebook is losing younger users at a faster pace than previously expected. Is this the cyber equivalent of Concord being grounded? It's the first backward step.
Facebook have suffered a little bit lately, again, no less because of the problems that they have with the fake news agenda, also the accounts online, really. But they generally have steady growth. I mean, Facebook has 2 billion monthly users worldwide. I mean, that's a lot. And we've known for years that the worst thing you can do on Facebook is to befriend your kids or whatever else. But it didn't seem to have much of a problem.
My kids warned me not to.
Young people were still on there, although they weren't using it to the same degree. But this again is showing that really Facebook are struggling at the moment. Again, that because it seems that Instagram and especially Snapchat have taken over what kids like better. And of course, that's where they're spending their time. And they don't see the real need for Facebook or the use of it, although most of them will have an account, but they don't log on that often. But it seems they're into the ephemeral social network tools like Snapchat. They don't see the need like us to have a post which resides there forever. That they're just happier sending photographs to each other or quick comments, whatever else, that disappear after 12 hours or after one view.
So there's less conversation going on then for young people if it's just photographs they're doing all the time. They're not. Well, there was a time when social media was criticised for killing the art of conversation. People were just writing things down and sending them in texts on Twitter and on Facebook. But is that going as well now?
And I wouldn't say that. The kids are my young son. They're never not Snapchatting within every minute. I mean, it's just. I see it from being in the university as well, that the smartphone, the communication channels they're using is just so much ingrained in their lives that, I couldn't even dream of telling someone to turn off a phone in the lab. It's just so much part. So there's as much chatting going on, but it just seems that Facebook is not the go-to network for young people.
That must be dangerous for Mark Zuckerberg, because there'll be a gradual. If it doesn't happen with young people now, it won't happen with the generation after them as well. Once that starts.
Yeah, it's dangerous. Although they've reached that critical point where Facebook have so many people. I mean, 2 billion is no number to underestimate. It's hard to see who would knock them from being the social platform for our generation as such. But they are struggling because they've had to change their news feed the last year, and they've moved to one where he's realised that the fake news was a problem. He's accepted that. And he's trying to, rather than give us what the Facebook algorithm decides we want to see to keep us in the Facebook ecosystem, they're sending us more posts of our friends now. But that, of course, the shareholders didn't like that, and the shares dropped, the valuation dropped a few months ago. So I mean, they are struggling. I mean, no one ever seen. We've never been here before in our lifetimes that such a social network will have such implications for modern life that maybe someone got elected because of fake news on a particular website.
Right. One of the other things you want to talk about, Elon Musk, the man who sent his sports car into space. Now, I understand it cost him $90 million. There's a man needs to get out more.
Yeah, the same guy. He's been around. I mean, he's. I've been following him for many years. He's a household name in the States. It's only over here people are really getting to know who he is because he initially made his money from doing. He's a computer programmer actually, but he really is a smart guy. Then he was one of the people behind X.com that became PayPal, and they sold PayPal about 12 years ago for $1.5 billion. But the interesting thing about him, he took his $200 million he got from there and he pumped it into a thing called SpaceX, which was to compete with NASA to launch satellites or whatever else into space. And also he put it into Tesla, the electric car, which again is the one which is what we call autonomy level 4, which is literally you can close your eyes and go to sleep. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to keep your hands on the steering wheel, but it's an incredible car in the United States, electric car, which is the first car company in the United States for 40 years to go public. So he's also behind many other ventures as well. I mean, this high-speed magnetic train, which should travel at 1,000 kilometers an hour, the Boring company, OpenAI. He's just an exceptional guy for this time, and he really is smart. He can walk around the SpaceX factory and he'll understand most of what the rocket scientists are talking about. So, of course, last week they demonstrated that they use his single rockets, which they use to refuel the space station. They send capsules up, but his vision is to go to Mars and die on Mars. So the Falcon Heavy was this largest rocket since the Saturn rockets back in the 70s. Took off with could carry 145,000 pounds of payload, which is huge for nowadays. And of course, to test it, they usually put lumps of concrete into the cargo hold. But in this case, he put in his Tesla sports car.
Right.
And it's sending back images from space of this car on its way to Mars, or just past Mars, and photographs have been taken off it. So he's a very good showman, but to me, he's the real deal. Is there
something written on the sports car made by humans?
Well, it's got Don't Panic, which is from Douglas Adams, and he's got the spaceman in there, and at the moment, until the batteries die, it's playing David Bowie's Space Odyssey.
So I read a great quote from him at the weekend. I was flicking through stuff and not knowing I was doing this here, just like a happy coincidence. I think someone sneeringly referred to his lack of an education, and he said, "I never went to Harvard. The people who work for me did, though."
Very good, yeah.
which I liked. Kevin, thank you very much for coming in quite late on and filling the gap for us. You were brilliant as ever, and we'll talk again soon.